1 hour a day can change your life. Not someday, not eventually, but starting now, if you use it right. That's not just a statement. That's a challenge to how you've been living. Every single day you're given time, and in that time most people scroll, complain, wait, or repeat the same routine, expecting things to change. But here's the truth. If you can give just one focused hour each day to yourself, everything begins to shift. Not because the hour is magical, but because you become intentional. This audiobook isn't about hype. It's about building something real. You'll learn how to take 1 hour and turn it into discipline, clarity, progress, and confidence. The kind that doesn't fade, the kind that lasts. Ask yourself, how long have you been stuck? How long have you been talking about changing? It doesn't take all day. It takes 1 hour, over and over. That's how real transformation begins. Let's get into it. Chapter 1. Give yourself 1 full hour to improve daily. You know, it's not about doing everything all at once. It's about doing the right things for the right amount of time every single day. And most people don't fail because they're not talented. They fail because they never learned how to use their time in a way that builds them instead of breaking them. That's what we're talking about today. Giving yourself 1 full hour every day to improve your life. Now think about this. 1 hour, 60 minutes. That's 4% of your day. And yet most people will give hours away to scrolling, to entertainment, to complaining, to waiting around, but they won't give even 1 hour to themselves. And that's the reason many people never become who they were supposed to be. You see, change doesn't require luck. It doesn't require perfect timing. It requires discipline. It requires a decision. If you're not where you want to be in life, there's a good chance you've been giving your time to the wrong things. Because time is a mirror, it reflects your priorities. And 1 hour a day tells a big story about what you believe you're worth. If you give yourself 1 hour every day, not to rest, not to escape, but to build, to study, to reflect, to train, to grow, you will not recognize yourself in a few months. And you don't have to do anything crazy. You don't need a big event to turn your life around. You need a chair, a notebook, a quiet space. You need discipline. You need consistency. And most of all, you need honesty. 1 hour a day is enough to change the way you think. That's where it starts. Because if your thoughts are weak, your actions will follow. But if your thinking sharpens, your life begins to shift. You start asking better questions. You stop wasting energy on things that don't matter. You start protecting your peace. You stop being reactive and start being intentional. That's the kind of change that lasts. And it starts with 1 hour. And here's what I want you to understand. You already have the time. You just need to claim it. Some people say they're too busy. But busy with what? You can't be too busy to become better. Because if you don't make time for improvement, life will force you to make time for regret. Life doesn't wait. And neither should you. Use 1 hour a day to take full responsibility. Sit down and be honest about what you want. Don't lie to yourself. If you've been lazy, admit it. If you've been distracted, acknowledge it. If you've been waiting for someone else to fix it for you, stop. No one's coming to save you. That's not negative. That's empowering. Because if it's in your hands, then you can actually do something about it. And you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be brilliant. You don't even have to be fast. But you do have to be consistent. You have to show up for yourself every single day. That 1 hour becomes your edge. When others are tired, you're improving. When others are guessing, you're learning. When others are stuck, you're growing. That's what separates people who live on purpose from people who just float through life. Start simple. Take that 1 hour and decide what matters to you most. Maybe you use it to read a good book. Not junk, not noise, a book that helps you think better. Or maybe you use that hour to write. Get your thoughts on paper. Sort through your confusion. Find clarity. Or maybe you move your body. Train your mind through discipline. You sweat, you push, you remind yourself that you are not your excuses. You can also use that hour to build something. A skill, a business, a side project. Something that gives you control over your future. And maybe you're not great at it right now. That's fine. That's the point of practice. Use that hour to make progress. Small steps add up fast when you show up daily. You might say, but what if I miss a day? You don't quit. You don't beat yourself up. You restart. That's strength, showing up again. Don't let one bad day become a bad week or a bad month. You're not trying to be perfect. You're trying to become better than you were yesterday. That's it. Now, over time, that 1 hour will change you. And not just on the outside. It will change the way you speak. It will change how you walk into a room. It will change what you tolerate. It will change how you carry yourself. You'll begin to trust yourself again. You'll look in the mirror and see someone who actually keeps promises. That's powerful. Most people break promises to themselves daily. They say they'll start tomorrow. They say they'll wake up early. They say they'll stop wasting time. But their actions don't match their words. And when that happens for too long, you start to believe you're weak. You start to think change is too hard. But it's not too hard. You just haven't committed to 1 hour a day. That's the only difference. Here's the truth. Success is not complicated. It's not a mystery. It's not for the chosen few. It's for those who choose it daily. And choosing means saying no to things that drain you. It means setting boundaries. It means doing what needs to be done, even when no one's watching, especially when no one's watching. That's character. 1 hour a day teaches you that you can count on yourself. It teaches you that your future is worth more than your comfort. And it teaches you that time is a tool, not a trap. And if you can stay consistent with that 1 hour, your confidence will grow. You'll stop waiting for the perfect moment. You'll stop needing approval. You'll realize that the life you want doesn't come from luck. It comes from effort. And 1 hour of focused effort every day adds up. In 1 month, that's 30 hours of deliberate growth. In 6 months, that's 180 hours invested in your future. In 1 year, that's 365 hours you spent building, growing, and evolving, while others were still stuck in the same complaints. You have to look at your life and ask yourself, am I using my time to escape or to evolve? Because 1 hour won't change you if you waste it, but if you use it with intention, if you protect it like your future depends on it, it will change your life. So start today. Don't wait for motivation. Motivation will show up after you show up. Just start. Set a time. Make it non-negotiable. Don't explain it to people. Don't wait for them to understand. This is your life. This is your hour, and it's time you give yourself what you actually deserve, because if you can give just 1 hour a day, truly give it, you'll start to feel something you haven't felt in a long time. You'll feel momentum, and momentum is what builds confidence. Confidence builds courage, and courage changes lives. Not someday, not next year, today. 1 hour a day can change your life, but only if you're ready to finally choose yourself. Chapter 2. Get out of bed and take back your day. Most people don't realize how much of their life they're giving away the moment they hit the snooze button. Not just minutes, not just time. They're giving away ownership. When you don't get out of bed with purpose, something else starts running your day. Your habits, your mood, your distractions, your excuses. And if that continues long enough, you stop feeling like you're in control of anything. That's why getting out of bed early and on your own terms matters more than people think. It's not just about waking up. It's about waking up to your life. Every day you stay in bed longer than you planned is another day you've delayed your own progress. Not because you're weak, not because you're lazy, but because you haven't made the decision to lead your day. You're letting the day lead you, and when the day leads you, it takes you where it wants, not where you want to go. You see, getting out of bed early isn't just about time management. It's about life management. The first decision you make in the morning sets the tone for every other decision that follows. If your first move is hesitation, your next move will be scattered. If your first move is doubt, your next move will lack confidence. But if your first move is action, your day begins with power. Getting out of bed when you said you would, even when it's uncomfortable, even when no one's watching, teaches you something. It teaches you that you have control over yourself. And when you feel in control of yourself, everything else in life feels more possible. You stop letting your emotions run the show. You stop being a slave to your old patterns. You start making decisions based on who you want to become, not what you feel in the moment. Most people say they want to change their life. But change doesn't start at the gym. It doesn't start in the office. It doesn't even start with a book. It starts when your alarm goes off and you make the choice to rise. That's where real discipline begins, not in some big dramatic moment, but in the silence of your own room, when you choose action over comfort. You don't have to be excited about waking up. You just have to be willing. You have to stop waiting to feel ready. That's the biggest mistake. People think they need to feel good before they take action. But if you wait to feel like it, you'll wait forever. Progress starts when you move first. And when you keep doing that day after day, those early hours will turn into something powerful. They'll become your edge. Now, the people who get ahead in life are not always the smartest or the most talented, but they are the most consistent. They are the ones who show up before the world is awake. They're the ones who don't waste their mornings arguing with the alarm clock, because they know that first hour is the most honest part of the day. No distractions, no noise. Just you and your choices. And those choices stack up. One early morning becomes two becomes a week becomes a month, and before you know it, you've built something most people never will. Momentum. That's what gives you confidence. That's what separates talkers from doers. Anyone can talk about getting their life together. Anyone can say starting tomorrow. But only a few actually stand up day after day and do what they said they would. You've got to decide what kind of person you want to be. Do you want to be the kind of person who lives on snooze, who watches life pass by from the comfort of a pillow? Or do you want to be someone who takes ownership, who says, "This is my time and I'm not wasting it," because no one's going to give you the life you want. You have to take it. And it starts with how you begin your day. There is something powerful about being up while the world is quiet. There's no pressure, no noise, no distractions. It's just you, your thoughts, and a fresh chance to move your life forward. Most people miss that chance because they never see it. They sleep through it. They think they'll get it later. But later turns into never when you make it a habit to wait. The person you want to become is waiting for you on the other side of discipline. And discipline starts in the morning. Not when it's easy, not when it's convenient, but when it's dark, when it's cold, when your bed feels better than your goals. That's the moment that shapes your future. And you'll never know what you're truly capable of until you stop giving in to the voice that says, 5 more minutes. Every time you ignore that voice, you build strength. Every time you rise when it's easier to stay down, you build identity. You become someone you respect. That's real confidence. It doesn't come from applause. It doesn't come from other people believing in you. It comes from proving to yourself that you're in control of your actions. Now let's be honest. This isn't about becoming some machine who wakes up at 4 a.m. every single day. This isn't about showing off or being perfect. This is about reclaiming your time. You don't need to be extreme. You just need to be consistent. Wake up early enough to work on something that matters to you. Not what the world demands, not what your phone throws at you, but what your future self will thank you for. If you've been feeling stuck, this is where you start. Not with a perfect plan, not with a long list. Just get up. Take back your time. Use your morning to get clear, to move your body, to think, to write, to build, to breathe. That 1 hour of ownership makes the next 23 easier to handle. Because when you begin your day with power, you carry that power with you. But if you begin with delay, with distraction, with self-doubt, that energy follows you too. Your mindset in the first hour leaks into everything. That's why you have to protect it. Don't wake up to chaos. Don't wake up to your inbox. Wake up with direction. Wake up with a reason. The truth is, your bed will always feel better in the moment. But that version of comfort comes with a cost. It costs you your goals. It costs you your edge. It costs you the version of yourself you say you want to be. And over time, that cost adds up. It adds up in missed opportunities, in wasted potential, in frustration. You start asking questions like, why isn't anything working? When the real answer is that you've been giving away your day before it even starts. That's the brutal truth most people don't want to face. But if you're willing to face it, if you're willing to change it, then everything can shift. You don't need a miracle. You need movement, and that movement begins the moment your feet hit the floor. That's the first victory of the day. And if you can win that one, you're already ahead. So from now on, take that decision seriously, because it's not just about waking up. It's about showing up. It's about doing what matters before the world gets a chance to distract you. And when you do that, day after day, you become unstoppable. Take back your mornings. Take back your focus. Take back your day. Because the moment you get out of bed with purpose, the world starts moving differently around you. And more importantly, you start moving differently within yourself. Chapter 3. Put your attention where your future actually grows. Every person wants a better future, but most never get there. Not because they don't try, but because they spend too much time focusing on the wrong things. Your life always moves in the direction of your attention. If your attention is scattered, your life will be scattered. If your attention is placed on things that don't really matter, you'll spend your energy chasing short-term comfort while your long-term goals fall behind. This is the reality most people avoid. The life you're building is directly shaped by what you choose to focus on every single day. It's easy to say you want success. It's easy to say you want growth. But it's not about what you say. It's about where your attention goes when no one's watching. Because if you're giving your attention to drama, to other people's opinions, to things that keep you stuck in comparison and insecurity, you're feeding the wrong side of your future. You have to understand. Your attention is your power. Wherever it goes, your energy follows. And wherever your energy goes, your results begin to form. Every day, you get to choose what to think about, what to work on, what to pursue. If you constantly let your mind get pulled into distractions, you'll spend your life reacting instead of creating. And the danger is most distractions don't even look like distractions at first. They look like notifications, entertainment, small tasks, other people's problems. But little by little, they steal your attention from what actually builds you. You have to become aware of this, because no one is going to protect your attention for you. The world doesn't care if you waste your focus. In fact, it profits from your distraction. But your future only grows when you place your attention on things that move you forward. That means you have to train your mind to resist what's easy and choose what matters. Not once in a while, every day. Ask yourselves, what are you really giving your attention to? Are you spending hours thinking about what went wrong? Are you constantly checking who liked your post? Are you letting fear take up space in your mind? Because attention is limited. You don't get it back. And if you're not careful, your time and attention will be spent without ever getting you closer to the life you say you want. If you want to grow, you have to decide what actually moves you forward, what skills are worth your time, what goals deserve your full focus, what part of your life needs to be built, not just maintained. When you get clear on that, everything changes, because now your attention is no longer just being used, it's being invested. And investments build something. They don't just pass the time. They shape the future. There's a major difference between being busy and being focused. Being busy can make you feel like you're doing something, but being focused actually moves the needle. And it's uncomfortable, because real focus demands effort. It demands that you sit down, say no to distractions, and give your full mind to one task. Most people avoid that level of clarity, not because they're lazy, but because it forces them to face what they've been running from. The moment you put your attention on what matters, you can't hide behind excuses anymore. You'll start to see where you've been wasting time. You'll see the gaps in your habits. You'll notice the difference between activity and progress. That's uncomfortable, but it's also the beginning of transformation. You don't need more time. You need better focus. If you truly locked in on one goal for even one focused hour a day, for the next year you would be unrecognizable 12 months from now. But the problem is, we live in a world that wants your attention every second. Scroll here, click there, answer this, react to that. And if you don't take control, your focus will be pulled in 50 different directions, none of them leading to the life you're trying to build. It's not about working harder all the time. It's about making sure the work you do actually counts. You could spend 5 hours doing 10 small things that don't matter. Or you could spend 1 solid hour doing something that makes your life better. That's the difference between movement and progress. And that difference comes from attention. Train yourself to notice when you're drifting. When your mind starts wandering to things that drain you, bring it back. You are not a robot. You have control over your focus. And the more you practice this, the stronger your attention becomes. Like a muscle. At first it's difficult to stay locked in, but over time you'll be able to work deeper, think clearer, and move faster toward the life you want. Start by deciding where your attention needs to be. Maybe it's a project you've been avoiding. Maybe it's your health. Maybe it's learning something new. Maybe it's fixing something that's been broken for too long. Whatever it is, commit to giving it your attention every single day. Not your leftover time, not what's convenient, your best energy. Because what you feed grows. You also need to protect your mind from information overload. You don't need to know everything that's happening in the world every second. You don't need to watch every video, read every comment, or get caught up in every headline. That constant flood of noise steals your clarity, and without clarity your attention becomes weak and scattered. Be selective about what enters your mind. You are not obligated to consume everything that's offered to you. Choose what helps you think better, not what helps you waste more time. And remember, your attention shapes your identity. The more time you spend focused on growth, on effort, on progress, the more you start seeing yourself as someone capable, someone in control, someone who isn't easily thrown off by every little thing. But if your attention is always bouncing around, always chasing the next distraction, you'll feel anxious, restless, and unfulfilled, not because something's wrong with you, but because your energy is being spent without intention. This shift in focus doesn't happen by accident. It happens through daily discipline. Wake up and decide what gets your attention before the world decides for you. Set boundaries. Turn off what doesn't serve you. Say no to what pulls you off course. Not because you're being rude, because you're building something, because you respect your future enough to give it your full presence today. There's a reason the most successful people guard their attention like it's gold, because it is. They don't let everyone have access to their mind. They don't react to every notification. They don't spend hours explaining themselves to people who don't matter. They focus. They protect their time. They stay grounded in what moves them forward. You can do the same. But you have to stop trying to do everything at once. You have to stop thinking you can multitask your way to success. You can't. What you need is depth. And depth only comes when you give one thing your full attention. That's how mastery is built. That's how confidence is earned. That's how change happens. So look at your life honestly. Where is your attention going right now? Who or what is getting most of your mental energy? Is it helping you grow or just keeping you busy? Are you focused on problems or solutions? Are you building your future or avoiding it? You don't have to do everything today, but you do have to focus on something that matters. Even if it's just for 1 hour, put your attention there, where your future actually grows, and do it again tomorrow, and the day after that. Because if you keep doing that, you won't need to chase success. You'll become the kind of person who naturally attracts it, through discipline, through clarity, and through the daily decision to focus on what matters. Chapter 4. Build something meaningful with your own time today. Every day you wake up with time in your hands, and whether you realize it or not, that time is either used to build or to waste. Most people go through their day reacting to everything around them. They check their phone, scroll through what others are doing, run from one task to the next, and by the time the day ends, they've poured hours into things that meant nothing to them. And then they wonder why life feels empty, why they feel stuck, why they don't feel proud of anything. It's because nothing they did that day was meaningful. You have time, maybe not endless time, maybe not perfectly planned time, but you have time. And inside that time, you have a choice. You can spend it doing the same thing you did yesterday, or you can use it to create something that actually matters to you. That's what separates people who move forward from people who stay stuck. It's not luck, it's not opportunity, it's how they use their time, especially the time no one sees. Most people say they're too busy. But what they really mean is they haven't made what matters a priority. You'll always find time for what's important. The question is your growth important enough to make the list? Is your purpose important enough to sit down, focus, and start building? The truth is, building something meaningful takes effort. It takes focus, it takes deciding that even if no one notices, even if there's no applause, even if it's uncomfortable, you're going to do it anyway, because it matters to you. That's what gives your life meaning. Not just going through routines, not just checking off to-do lists, but building something with intention, something you can look back on tomorrow and feel proud of. You don't need a perfect plan to start. You don't need to wait for the right mood. What you need is to sit down and use what you have. Your mind, your time, your energy, your vision. Maybe it's writing a page in a book. Maybe it's recording your ideas. Maybe it's designing something. Maybe it's building your health. Maybe it's learning a skill that pushes you closer to your next level. The point isn't what you build. The point is that when you start building something, you begin to feel purpose again. You stop floating. You stop chasing the feeling of motivation and start creating a reason to wake up tomorrow with clarity. Most people don't need a vacation. They need a reason. They need something in their life that reminds them that their time matters. Your time is not just for surviving. It's for building. It's for doing something that outlasts the moment. You don't have to do everything in one day, but you do have to start. You have to give yourself permission to work on your vision, even if it's small, even if it's quiet. Because if you keep waiting for the perfect window, it will never come. Life doesn't slow down so you can catch up. You have to create the space to grow inside the life you already have. There is real strength in showing up for your own goals, especially when no one else understands them. You don't need permission. You don't need applause. You need consistency. You need to remind yourself daily that your time is valuable and what you do with it will shape your future. That's not pressure. That's power. Because it means you don't have to wait on anyone. You can start using today to build something that brings you closer to the life you want. Don't let comparison distract you. Don't let someone else's timeline make you feel behind. You're not late. You're just distracted. And the fastest way back to progress is to sit down and begin again. Begin again with one idea. Begin again with 1 hour. Begin again with a fresh mind. You're not stuck. You're just not building. And once you start, momentum will follow. You don't have to change your life in a day. But every day you can change something. Every day you can decide, today I build. That mindset alone can transform how you live. Instead of waking up wondering how to get through the day, you wake up asking yourself, what can I create with this time? That's how you regain control over your life. That's how you stop feeling like a passenger and start feeling like the one driving. Most people want results, but they don't want the process. And the process is simple. It's showing up and doing the work. Not glamorous, not exciting all the time, but effective. Real growth lives in that space between intention and action, and the bridge is built with your time. Take 1 hour, one focused hour, block it, guard it, use it, not to scroll, not to kill time, use it to build. Use it to improve something in your life that you've been neglecting. Because when you build, you create progress, and when you see progress, you feel hope. Not because everything's perfect, but because you're moving forward. That's what building does. It replaces doubt with direction. It replaces excuses with action. It replaces fear with a sense of responsibility. You're not waiting on motivation. You're creating discipline. You're not waiting to feel ready. You're becoming ready through doing. That's a powerful shift, and it starts when you stop wasting your own time. There's no perfect moment to begin, but every moment you don't begin is another moment lost. That's the cost of delay, and that's why today matters. Not tomorrow, not someday, today. With the time you have, with the mind you have, with the energy you've got left. Use it. Build with it. Even if you're tired, even if you're unsure, just begin. Because even small steps build strong foundations when taken consistently. One day you'll look back and realize that the simple decision to give part of your time to something meaningful changed the course of your life. Not because it was easy, not because it was fast, but because it was yours. You built it, you owned it, you committed to it. And nothing will ever replace the feeling of knowing you used your time to become more. Not just to stay busy, but to build. Build your health, build your mind, build your skill, build your peace. Build your future. Do it today, because today is the only time you can work with. And if you give it everything you've got, it will return more than you can imagine. You have what it takes. You always have. You just need to stop giving your time to things that don't serve you and start using it to build something that finally does, something that matters, something that lifts you, something that lasts. Give your time a purpose today, and your life will follow.
Chapter 5. Learn one useful thing that makes you grow. Growth doesn't come from doing more. It comes from knowing more, and not just knowing random information. It comes from learning something useful, something that changes how you think, how you act, how you show up. Every day you have the chance to learn something that can make your life better, something that sharpens your judgment, something that helps you make better decisions, something that builds your confidence. But most people never take that chance. They wait. They say they'll get to it. They get caught up in the noise. They choose entertainment over education, and then they wonder why they feel stuck, why they keep repeating the same patterns, why nothing ever changes. If you want to grow, you have to become a person who learns on purpose, not once a week, not when it's convenient, but every single day. You don't have to study for hours. You don't need a classroom. You just need one useful idea, one concept that helps you understand life better, one insight that helps you handle stress, people, money, time, relationships, responsibility, whatever you're facing right now. Because the truth is, your next level depends on what you know. You can't act better until you think better, and you won't think better until you learn better. Every problem you face is either something you already know how to solve, or something you haven't learned how to deal with yet. When you stop learning, your growth stops too. You stay stuck at the level of your last breakthrough. You start recycling the same thoughts. You use the same approach. You keep making the same mistakes, not because you're not trying hard enough, but because you haven't learned a better way yet. One useful thing a day, that's it. That's the mindset. It could be from a book. It could be from a podcast. It could be a quote that makes you pause. It could be a conversation with someone you respect. It could be a mistake you made that finally clicked. The source doesn't matter. What matters is the usefulness. Is it something you can apply? Is it something that changes how you look at your time, your effort, your future? It's not about stuffing your mind with information. That's not growth. Growth is when you take one clear idea and start living by it. When you don't just hear it, but you understand it. You think about it. You write it down. You ask yourself, how does this apply to my life today? That kind of learning changes you, slowly, daily, but deeply. Learning doesn't require genius. It requires hunger, a hunger to improve, a hunger to figure things out, a hunger to stop staying stuck in the same spot. You can learn from anything if you're paying attention, but the problem is most people are distracted. They spend more time scrolling than thinking. They look for quick answers instead of deep understanding. They chase hacks but avoid mastery, and that's why they don't grow. It's not a lack of potential, it's a lack of focused learning. If you want to live a better life, you have to learn how life works. That means understanding how your mind works, how your habits shape your future, how to manage your emotions, how to build things that last, how to speak in a way that creates trust, how to think long-term, how to move with purpose instead of reacting to everything that happens. None of that happens by accident. It happens when you sit down every day and say, what can I learn today that will make me better tomorrow? Learning one useful thing a day might not look like much at first, but it adds up. 30 days from now, you'll be 30 ideas smarter. That's 30 new tools you didn't have before. That's 30 mental shifts. That's 30 layers of growth. And it doesn't stop there. When you stay consistent, those ideas connect. They build on each other. And that's how you start seeing the world differently. You make smarter moves. You speak with more confidence. You handle pressure better. Because now you're growing from the inside out. You have to stop waiting to feel motivated to learn. Learning isn't about feelings. It's about discipline. You make it a part of your routine. You don't ask if you're in the mood. You just do it. Because you understand that your future depends on it. You don't have to read 10 books a week. You just need to read one paragraph that hits you hard enough to change your behavior. That's what useful learning does. It changes behavior, and behavior changes your results. Learning is also the cure for fear. When you feel stuck, when you feel uncertain, when you feel like you don't know what to do, it's not a sign that you're broken. It's a sign that you need to grow. You need to learn something that makes the next step clear. Most fear comes from confusion. But when you start learning the right things, your mind clears up. You stop overthinking, you start understanding, and that understanding gives you direction. Make it a rule. Never let a day pass without learning something that helps you grow. Not just random trivia, not just surface-level tips. Something that matters, something that helps you handle your life better, something that pushes you 1 inch closer to the person you want to be. That's the kind of learning that transforms you. And don't just keep it in your head. Use it, talk about it, teach it to someone, write it in a notebook. Find ways to practice it. The more you interact with what you learn, the more it becomes part of you. And the more it becomes part of you, the more you begin to change, not just in what you know, but in how you live. Start paying attention to what you let into your mind. Don't consume things that confuse you, weaken you, or distract you. Choose your inputs wisely. Choose content that challenges you, that builds your mindset, that strengthens your thinking. Your mind is your foundation. Protect it, feed it, sharpen it. One useful thing at a time. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room, but you do have to be the most committed to learning. That's how you keep growing, no matter where you start. No matter how far behind you feel, no matter what you've been through. Growth doesn't require perfection. It requires attention. Attention to what you learn, how you learn, and what you do with it. The most powerful people in the world are not the loudest. They're the ones who think clearly, who speak with substance, who move with wisdom, and all of that comes from what they've learned through reading, through listening, through reflecting, through asking better questions. You can be that kind of person too, but you have to decide. You have to start making learning a non-negotiable part of your life. Every time you learn something that helps you grow, you become stronger, you become clearer, you become more in control. And that sense of growth builds momentum. You stop blaming, you stop making excuses, you stop looking for shortcuts, because now you're focused on becoming better, not just hoping life gets easier. You can start right now. Learn one useful thing today, something that helps you think better, live smarter, and move closer to the person you want to become. Do it again tomorrow, and the next day. And if you stay with it, your life will change, not all at once, but day by day. Idea by idea, step by step. Growth is a choice, and it begins with what you decide to learn today. Chapter 6. Do something physical to feel strong and awake. Your body holds the energy you need to build your future, and most people never access it because they don't move. They stay still, they sit for hours, they get tired by doing nothing. And when you don't use your body with purpose, you start to lose the energy, the clarity, and the strength that your goals demand. That's why doing something physical every day is not just about looking good, it's about waking up fully, it's about being present, it's about reminding yourself that you are capable of more than just sitting and watching your life go by. You don't need to become an athlete, you don't need a gym membership, you don't need the perfect workout routine. What you need is action. You need movement. You need to push yourself, not for appearance, but for performance, for mental strength, for discipline. Because when you move your body, you also shift your mind. The fog lifts, the tension releases, the excuses get quieter. You feel alive again. Doing something physical wakes you up in a way that nothing else does. When your heart is pumping and your blood is flowing, something in you shifts. You stop thinking so much. You stop doubting yourself. You start feeling grounded. You start to believe you can handle what's ahead. That's why this is about more than exercise. It's about building power from the inside out. There's a real difference between tiredness from doing too much and the heaviness that comes from doing too little. Most people walk around feeling drained, not because they're overloaded with action, but because they're overloaded with inaction. They've sat too long, they've ignored their body's signals, and now their mind feels heavy too. You'd be surprised how quickly that can change just by standing up, stretching, walking, doing push-ups, going outside, getting your body back in motion. Movement builds momentum. It puts you in charge of your state. If you've been feeling stuck or low, one of the fastest ways to shift that is to move. Not when you feel like it, not when it's convenient, but as a habit, as part of how you live. You have to stop waiting for energy and start generating it. Your body is a tool. Use it. Even just 10 minutes of movement can reset your entire day. It doesn't have to be intense, it just has to be intentional. Get your body involved in your growth. Too many people try to think their way into a better life while ignoring the physical part of themselves, but the two are connected. A tired body creates a foggy mind. A strong body supports clear thinking. When you build physical habits, you build emotional strength too. You handle pressure better. You push through resistance faster. You become the kind of person who keeps going when things get uncomfortable. The physical discipline you build through movement spills over into every other area of your life. When you challenge yourself to move when you don't want to, you're teaching your mind how to act without needing permission from your feelings. That's strength. That's how you learn to keep your promises to yourself. You'll never regret moving your body. You'll never regret the sweat, the effort, the push, but you will regret the days you kept putting it off. You will regret staying in bed too long, letting your muscles get weak, letting your drive fade. Every time you skip movement, you train yourself to tolerate low energy. You train yourself to settle, and over time, that becomes your new normal. But you can change that, and it starts with one decision: to move today. You don't need to follow what everyone else is doing. You just need to find something that works for you. It could be walking, it could be bodyweight exercises, it could be stretching, it could be dancing in your room. It doesn't have to be impressive, it has to be consistent, because what's consistent becomes who you are, and the more you move, the more alive you feel. Your body was made to move. Don't let it waste away from inactivity. Doing something physical first thing in the morning can set the entire tone of your day. You start with intention. You activate your strength. You remind yourself that you have control. You're not reacting to the day. You're creating it. You're not waiting to feel good. You're giving yourself what you need to feel good. That's ownership. And ownership is where transformation begins. Some people wait for motivation, but motivation shows up after you move, not before. So stop searching for the right mood. Start taking the right actions. When you do something physical, you build internal respect. You stop breaking promises to yourself. You become someone you trust. And when you trust yourself, you move through the world with more certainty. You have to realize that no one else can do this for you. No one can move your body on your behalf. No one can give you the strength that only shows up through discipline. This is your responsibility, and it's your opportunity, because every drop of effort you give to your physical self returns to you as clarity, as focus, as drive. If you've been tired lately, if you've felt off, start moving, not to chase perfection, not to impress anyone, but to feel fully awake again. You don't need energy drinks or endless caffeine. What you need is a pattern, a daily pattern of showing up for your health, of choosing strength over comfort, of proving to yourself that you have what it takes to do hard things. There's something powerful about feeling strong in your own body. You walk differently. You speak with more belief. You take action without second guessing. It's not about looking a certain way. It's about showing up with full presence, full energy, and full commitment. And that starts with how you treat your body today. No matter where you're starting from, you can improve. No matter how long it's been, you can begin again. You're not behind. You just haven't moved in a while. And once you start, your body will remember. It wants to move. It wants to feel strong. Give it that chance. Don't wait for the perfect time. Don't overthink it. Just get up and do something physical. Push through the resistance. Get the blood moving. Feel your breath. Remind yourself what it's like to be alive in your body, because when you do that, something shifts. You become clear. You become sharper. You become ready to face whatever the day throws at you. You don't need long workouts. You don't need perfect form. What you need is to start, today, now, with whatever energy you have, with whatever space you're in. Do something that requires effort. Do something that makes you sweat. Do something that wakes you up and reminds you that you're still in control of your health, your energy, your life. The goal isn't to be extreme. The goal is to be consistent. The goal is to make movement a daily standard, not a random event. You move because it's who you are now. You move because you refuse to let comfort run your life. You move because your goals deserve the strongest version of you. Take care of your body, and it will take care of everything else. Use your time wisely. Don't let another day go by without doing something physical. You owe it to yourself to feel strong, to feel capable, to feel alive. You have what it takes. Now prove it with action.
Chapter 7.
Slow down and check what's really going on inside. Most people go through life rushing. They wake up, jump into tasks, check their phone, go through the motions, and fall asleep without ever checking how they actually feel. They keep moving because slowing down feels uncomfortable. They don't stop to ask themselves why they're feeling heavy, tired, irritated, or disconnected. They think being productive means staying busy, but real progress doesn't come from constant movement. It comes from awareness, and awareness only shows up when you slow down and look inward. You can't fix what you're not willing to face, and you can't face anything if you never pause long enough to notice it. If you want to grow, if you want to understand your thoughts, your behavior, your patterns, you have to slow down. You have to make space to reflect. You have to ask the hard questions. What am I avoiding? What am I angry about? What am I holding on to that's no longer helping me? These questions don't show up in a rush. They show up when you give yourself time to sit with yourself and be honest. It's easy to get lost in tasks and routines. You can go days, weeks, even years without stopping to check what's really going on inside. You might be succeeding on the outside and falling apart inside. You might be performing well but feeling empty. You might be smiling in front of people but frustrated when you're alone. And no one else will know it because you've learned how to hide it well, but you'll know it. You'll feel it. That silent pressure inside you doesn't go away. It builds, and if you don't face it, it will break you. You don't need more noise. You need clarity. You need a moment of quiet. You need to give yourself permission to pause, not to escape, not to scroll, but to listen to your own thoughts, your own emotions, your own needs. Sometimes the answers you're looking for aren't out there. They're already inside. You've just been moving too fast to hear them. Slowing down is not weakness, it's strength. It's choosing to become aware. It's choosing to face what's real instead of pretending everything's fine. It's allowing yourself to check in, not just with your schedule, but with your mental and emotional state. Are you okay? Are you clear on what you want? Are you running from something? Are you acting out of habit or intention? These aren't small questions. These are the questions that help you understand your direction, because it's possible to be working hard and moving fast in the wrong direction. It's possible to be checking goals off a list that no longer reflects who you really are, and you won't notice that unless you stop and look inward. You have to build the habit of checking in with yourself daily. You have to create time to breathe, to think, to ask yourself what's working and what's not. This is not about overthinking. It's about getting real. It's about taking responsibility for your inner world, because your inner world shapes your outer results. If your thoughts are messy, your decisions will be scattered. If your emotions are heavy, your energy will be low. If your mind is full of noise, your focus will be weak. One of the most powerful things you can do is spend quiet time with yourself. No distractions, no music, no phone, just you and your thoughts. Sit still and ask yourself what's actually going on. Are you carrying resentment? Are you afraid of something? Are you stuck in a pattern that no longer fits your life? When you ask these questions honestly, you start to see clearly. You stop lying to yourself, and that's when change becomes possible. Most people avoid this kind of reflection because it's uncomfortable. It's easier to stay busy than it is to face your own truth. It's easier to blame others than it is to take ownership of your mindset. But you will never change what you're unwilling to look at, and no one can do this work for you. This is about you and your willingness to be honest with yourself. When you slow down and really check in, you start to notice things you couldn't see before. You realize some of your frustration isn't about what happened today. It's about what you never healed from yesterday. You recognize that your stress isn't always from pressure. It's from pretending you're fine when you're not. You understand that your lack of energy isn't always physical. It's emotional. And once you see it, you can start working through it. Checking in doesn't mean sitting in your pain. It means understanding where it's coming from, so you can move forward without dragging it behind you. You can't move into your future while avoiding your present. You can't build peace while carrying confusion. So stop running, stop escaping. Just pause and check what's really going on inside. Ask yourself, am I proud of how I've been thinking lately? Am I treating myself with the respect I expect from others? Am I allowing fear to decide my actions? These are questions you ask when you stop trying to appear okay and start trying to be okay. The goal is not perfection. The goal is awareness, and with awareness comes power. Slowing down helps you reconnect with your values, with your vision, with your sense of direction. It reminds you of what matters and what doesn't. It clears the mental clutter so you can focus again, and in that clarity, you'll find peace. Not the kind of peace that depends on outside conditions, but the kind that comes from being aligned with your own truth. You don't have to wait for a breakdown to start checking in. Don't wait until you're exhausted, anxious or lost. Build the habit now. Every day, take a few minutes to slow down, turn everything off, close your eyes, listen to yourself. Not the version you show the world, the real version. That's where the answers are. Give yourself space to process. You don't need to have everything figured out. You just need to stop running long enough to ask better questions, and then give yourself the time to listen, because your inner world is always giving you feedback. You just have to slow down enough to hear it. When you do this consistently, you become stronger, not just mentally, but emotionally. You stop reacting. You stop carrying pain that doesn't belong to you. You stop making decisions based on fear or pressure. You start choosing what's right for you. You start becoming someone who is grounded, focused, and self-aware. That's real power. This is not a one-time thing. This is a lifelong practice. You'll never reach a point where checking in is no longer needed. Growth means change, and with change comes new emotions, new challenges, new thoughts. The deeper your life gets, the deeper your awareness needs to be. Don't be afraid to go there. Don't be afraid to face what's real. Slowing down isn't about doing less. It's about living with more clarity, more purpose, more depth. You owe it to yourself to stop pretending and start being honest. Start listening. Start paying attention to your thoughts, to your body, to your behavior. Every signal is telling you something. If you ignore it, it grows louder. But if you listen, you grow wiser. Your greatest growth will not come from pushing harder. It will come from understanding yourself better. And that only happens when you create time to slow down and look within. So start now, not tomorrow, not next week. Sit down, breathe, ask the real questions, feel what's there, and remind yourself you don't need to rush. You just need to be real. Because once you get real, everything in your life begins to align.
Chapter 8. Fix one problem you keep running away from. There's always that one problem. You think about it, then you push it aside. It shows up when you're alone. It lingers in the background when you're working. You tell yourself you'll handle it later, but later never comes. You bury it under distractions, responsibilities, excuses and noise. But the truth is, it's still there. And deep down, you know that no real progress is going to happen in your life until you stop running and deal with it. You don't need more time. You don't need more motivation. What you need is to stop avoiding it and finally face it. That problem you keep pushing away, that conversation you've been putting off, that decision you keep dodging, that habit you haven't changed, that responsibility you've delayed. It's not going anywhere. Ignoring it hasn't made it disappear. If anything, it's been growing, quietly, silently, while you move around it. Every time you walk away from it, you give it more power, and eventually it begins to shape your energy, your focus, your self-respect. Not because it's unsolvable, but because running from something important always weakens your momentum. You know the problem. No one needs to point it out. It's the one thing you think about when your mind is quiet. The thing you don't want to talk about, but can't seem to shake. The thing that shows up in your stress, your frustration, your regret. And still, you tell yourself you're too busy to deal with it. But here's the reality. Not fixing it is already costing you. It's costing you peace. It's draining your energy. It's keeping you from fully showing up in your life. You don't need to fix everything. You don't need to solve every issue right now. But you do need to pick the one thing you've been avoiding and start working through it, one step at a time. The longer you avoid it, the heavier it becomes. That weight doesn't go away, it just hides behind your busyness. But the moment you face it head-on, something changes. You stop running, you stop lying to yourself, you stop letting fear decide for you. That's when real change begins. Start by getting honest. What are you really avoiding? What have you delayed for too long? Maybe it's taking full responsibility for something you did. Maybe it's walking away from something that no longer fits your life. Maybe it's finally setting a boundary you should have set a long time ago. Maybe it's admitting that the way you've been living isn't working anymore. Whatever it is, avoiding it won't make it easier. Only action will. Facing a problem doesn't mean you need to solve it perfectly. It means you stop pretending it's not there. You stop minimizing it. You stop acting like you're okay with it when you're not. That's the first step. Acknowledgement. Not blaming, not complaining, just telling yourself the truth. I've been avoiding this, and it's holding me back.
That sentence alone can break the pattern. Fixing something doesn't always look dramatic. It could be a single phone call, a small change in your routine, a decision to forgive, a decision to quit, a decision to begin again. But what makes it powerful is the intention behind it. You're no longer running. You're stepping into responsibility. You're reclaiming your ability to direct your life instead of letting this unresolved issue pull you in every direction. You might feel fear. You might feel resistance. That's normal, but those feelings don't mean you shouldn't do it. They just mean you're touching something real, and real things are worth facing. Avoidance might feel safe in the short term, but it always leads to long-term damage. It chips away at your confidence. It steals your drive. And it quietly convinces you that you can't handle your own life. That's a lie. You can handle it. You've just convinced yourself it's safer not to try. But safety isn't the goal. Growth is. Strength is. Freedom is. And freedom only comes when you stop avoiding the one thing that keeps you stuck. You don't need to fix the whole world. Just that one problem that keeps pulling your energy away from who you're trying to become. Ask yourself, what would happen if I stopped running from this? What would my life look like if this was no longer an issue? How much better would I feel if I finally handled this? The answer is probably obvious. You'd feel lighter, you'd feel clear, you'd feel capable again. So don't wait. Take the first uncomfortable step. Have the hard talk. Make the bold decision. Clear the weight that's been sitting on your back for too long. You are not weak for having problems. You're human, but you become strong the moment you stop avoiding them. The moment you say, "This stops with me." The moment you decide to clean up what you've left messy. That decision alone can give you the clarity you've been searching for. Because once you stop hiding from the truth, you can finally start moving with purpose again. You don't have to do it all today, but you do have to begin. And here's what's waiting for you on the other side of that first step. Relief. Not the kind that comes from escaping. The kind that comes from knowing you're facing life with courage. That you're not letting fear run the show. That you're living aligned with the person you want to be. Fixing the problem you've been running from will change the way you see yourself. You'll start trusting yourself again. You'll walk with more confidence. You'll make decisions faster because you'll know you're not the kind of person who avoids reality. You're the kind who faces it. This is your moment. You don't need anyone's permission. You don't need the perfect plan. You just need to take control back. Choose one issue, one area of your life that needs your full attention. Step into it with honesty, with courage, with the mindset that you're capable of resolving what you've been afraid of. You're not stuck. You're just distracted by what you're avoiding. Clear that, and you'll unlock a new level of focus, of peace, of drive. And once you feel that, you'll wonder why you waited so long to deal with it. Don't let the day end without doing something to fix that one problem. Make the call, write the plan, speak the truth, release what's holding you, repair what needs fixing. Just begin. The version of you who lives without that burden is already inside you. You just need to act like they're real, starting today. Chapter 9. Track what you do and stay consistent daily. If you're not tracking what you're doing, you're guessing. And when you guess, you lose control of your results. You start relying on memory, emotion, and assumption instead of facts. And that's exactly how people end up working hard without moving forward. They think they're doing enough. They think they're staying on track. But when you look at the actual effort, it's inconsistent. Some days they show up, some days they don't. Some days they focus, most days they're distracted. That's not how change happens. That's how frustration builds. There's something powerful about writing things down, not typing. Writing, with your own hand, on paper. When you track what you do, you bring structure to your growth. You stop being vague. You get honest. You see clearly. You no longer say, "I think I'm doing okay." You know if you are, because you have the proof right in front of you. And when you see the pattern, you start to understand your behavior on a different level. Tracking your actions doesn't have to be complicated. It's simple. What did you do today that moved you closer to your goals? What did you avoid? Where did you spend most of your time? What can you improve tomorrow? These aren't just questions. They're mirrors. They reflect the truth you can't hide from. Because the page doesn't lie. The notebook doesn't care about your excuses. It only shows your patterns, and your patterns determine your life. Most people fail to stay consistent because they're not aware of how inconsistent they really are. They start strong, then fall off. They do something great on Monday and forget it by Friday. They wait for motivation to return, but it doesn't. Not because they're lazy, not because they don't care, but because they have no system in place, no tracking, no review, no rhythm, and without rhythm, you lose flow, you lose discipline, you lose momentum. Daily tracking is how you keep yourself honest. It's how you build real accountability, not to anyone else, to yourself. You get to the end of the day and ask, did I do what I said I would? That one question can change your life, because it forces you to measure effort, not just intention. It forces you to deal with facts, not feelings. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to hit every goal every day. You just need to show up and track. Did you try? Did you push forward even a little? That matters. You build confidence by keeping promises to yourself, and you keep promises by being consistent. Consistency doesn't mean massive action. It means showing up, even when you don't feel like it. It means doing what you said you would do, especially on the hard days. If you track your habits for just 30 days, you'll learn more about yourself than most people learn in years. You'll see when you perform best. You'll notice your distractions. You'll recognize your emotional patterns. You'll find out where your excuses hide. This kind of awareness puts you in the driver's seat. You stop being reactive. You stop guessing. You start leading your life. No one becomes great by accident. Every successful person you admire keeps track of their actions. They review. They reflect. They adjust. That's how you grow. That's how you make progress feel real. And when you feel progress, you get addicted to the process. You stop needing motivation, because seeing yourself improve even a little becomes the fuel that keeps you going. Tracking isn't about judgment. It's not about beating yourself up. It's about ownership. It's about learning from your patterns so you can create better ones. You don't change your life by trying harder. You change it by tracking smarter. Every time you write something down, you take control back from distraction, from excuses, from forgetfulness. You make your growth visible. You take what's invisible and turn it into something you can measure, improve, and celebrate. Consistency is the real secret to transformation, and the hardest part about consistency isn't starting, it's continuing. That's where most people give up. Not because they failed, but because they lost track of what was working. They forgot how far they came. They thought their small steps didn't matter. But if you track your progress, you'll see that small steps are everything. 1 page a day, 1 workout, 1 hour of focus. When done daily, these things compound. They multiply. They turn into real results. If your life feels chaotic, if your mind feels scattered, if your progress feels unclear, tracking is the solution. Not tomorrow, not next week. Today, pick up a pen, start a simple list, track what matters. Not everything, just what matters. Not everything, just what matters. What gets measured gets improved, and what gets improved gets repeated. That's how habits form. That's how growth sticks. You don't have to do it forever, just long enough to build rhythm. Once you find your rhythm, things get easier. Not because life changes, but because you change. You become more focused. You become more disciplined. You stop starting over. You stop drifting. You lock in. And that feeling of finally being locked in, there's nothing like it. You know you're serious about change when you start tracking, because tracking requires effort. It requires honesty. It requires attention. But it also gives you clarity. It shows you exactly where you're strong and exactly where you're slipping. And when you know that, you can improve quickly. You stop wasting time. You stop hoping. You start building. Keep your tracking system simple. Don't overcomplicate it. Use a notebook, a wall calendar, a chart, anything that keeps you visually engaged. The key is consistency. 5 minutes a day to track what matters most to you. That 5 minutes can save you years of confusion, years of regret, years of wondering why things aren't working. You'll know, and when you know, you can fix it. No one will do this part for you. There's no app, no person, no shortcut that can take the place of your own daily effort. But if you commit to this habit, if you stay with it, you will start to separate yourself. You will start to build things others only talk about, because now you're consistent. And consistency is what wins long term. So track what you do, see your progress, learn from your patterns, build discipline, and stay consistent, not just when it's easy, but especially when it's hard. That's where the breakthroughs come. That's where you earn your future. one day at a time, one page at a time, one action at a time. Stay with it, because the person you become from doing this work will be worth every single step. Chapter 10. Repeat the habit until you become someone better. Becoming better doesn't happen in a day. It doesn't come from one breakthrough, one book, one decision. It comes from repetition, showing up day after day, and doing what most people stop doing after a week. Real change is slow, it's uncomfortable, it doesn't ask you how you feel, it asks you to commit anyway. You don't need to be extreme, you don't need to be impressive, you just need to be consistent with the habits that matter. And not for a little while, for as long as it takes. You want to be stronger, sharper, more disciplined, more focused, more in control, then you have to repeat the habits that build those things. Not once, not when it's easy, over and over, until those actions become a part of who you are, until you don't need to force them anymore, until they're automatic. That's when you know you've changed, not because you said you would, but because your actions no longer require negotiation. They happen because they're who you are now. This is where most people fall short. They want the result, but they won't repeat the process. They start something good, they do it for a few days, and then they fall off. Not because they can't do it, but because they expected change to happen fast. It doesn't. It never does. You don't become better because you tried hard for a week. You become better because you kept going long after the excitement wore off. That's where character is built. That's where the old version of you gets left behind. You don't grow from what you do occasionally. You grow from what you do daily. That small habit, the reading, the journaling, the walking, the meditating, the training, the planning, whatever it is, if you stick to it, it will change you, it will shape your thinking, it will shift your mood, it will harden your focus. You won't notice it overnight. That's the point. It sneaks up on you. One day you'll look back and realize, I'm not who I used to be. Not because you made one big move, but because you kept choosing to show up when it wasn't fun anymore. There's nothing glamorous about repetition. It's boring, it's quiet, it's filled with doubts. You won't always see the reward right away. That's why it's hard. That's why most people quit. But the people who stay with it are the ones who actually evolve. They understand that the habit is more important than the feeling. The action is more important than the mood. They've learned that showing up imperfectly beats waiting for perfect conditions. Repetition builds trust, not with others, with yourself. Every time you do what you said you'd do, you prove to yourself that your words mean something. You stop being someone who breaks promises to yourself. You stop negotiating with laziness. You stop letting emotion control your direction. You begin to move with clarity. You begin to expect more from yourself, not because someone told you to, but because you've seen what's possible when you're consistent. The world is loud with shortcuts. Everyone's trying to skip steps, but those shortcuts rob you of the process, and the process is where growth lives. The habit is where the real transformation happens. Not in what you say you'll do, in what you do repeatedly. Repetition doesn't just build discipline, it changes identity, it rewires how you see yourself. You go from being someone who tries to someone who lives it. When you repeat a habit long enough, it stops being something you do and becomes part of who you are. You don't just run, you're a runner. You don't just eat better, you're someone who honors their health. You don't just write, you're a writer. And when it becomes part of your identity, it's easier to keep going, because now it's not about forcing yourself, it's about staying in alignment with who you've chosen to become. You might not see the result yet, but that doesn't mean it's not working. Every repetition counts. Every effort adds up. Just because the mirror doesn't show change today doesn't mean your body isn't getting stronger. Just because your mind feels tired doesn't mean your discipline isn't growing. You have to trust the process long enough for it to reward you, and it will, but only if you stay with it. This is the part that separates average from great. The ability to keep doing the right thing long after the initial motivation disappears. The patience to repeat the basics when no one's clapping, the strength to keep going even when the results are invisible. That's what makes someone powerful. That's what builds the foundation for everything else. Stop changing your plan every few days. Pick the habits that align with your future and repeat them every day without exception. You don't need to change everything. You need to stay consistent with a few core things until they change you, and they will, slowly, then suddenly. And when that shift happens, you won't need to convince anyone of your growth. They'll see it in how you speak, in how you move, in how you live. Repetition also teaches you to work through resistance. You'll face days when your mind fights back, when every part of you wants to skip it, postpone it, walk away from it. But those are the days that matter most, because those are the days when the old you tries to return, and your only job is to not let that happen. Do it anyway. Show up tired, show up unsure, just don't break the chain, because every time you repeat the habit, you're building someone stronger. You don't need 100 habits. You need a few that matter, and the discipline to repeat them. It's not exciting, it's not easy, but it's real, and it works. The people you admire aren't magical, they're consistent. They've learned how to be faithful to the process, even when it's slow, even when it's hard, even when it's quiet. That's the difference. The reason this works is because your brain learns through repetition. It's how habits form. It's how focus sharpens. It's how confidence is built. The more you do something, the more natural it feels. The less resistance you feel, the more momentum you create. And once you have momentum, everything becomes easier. If you're serious about growth, stop chasing results. Start repeating the right habits, again and again, until you don't recognize yourself, until people ask you what changed, until you feel the shift in how you carry yourself. That's the reward, and it's worth the wait. You already know what you need to do. You don't need another plan. You need to keep doing what works. 1 hour a day, one focused action, one habit that lifts you, one step forward, no matter how small. Repeat that, and then repeat it again tomorrow, and the day after that, until it's no longer a habit. It's who you are now. That's how you become someone better. That's how you take control of your life. Not with noise, not with speed, with repetition. Quiet, focused, relentless repetition. That's where real change lives. And now it's your turn to live it.